Can you believe it? This is the only place on Earth where you can step out of your apartment to catch a train in your own building, sip coffee on the edge of a sheer cliff, or take a stroll through a public square located on the 18th floor. If you're skeptical, I don't blame you, but welcome to Chongqing, the city of 2050. Home to over 30 million residents, it is the world's most complex 3D urban labyrinth. Before we delve into whether the cyberpunk city of the future label is merely marketing hype, or if the technology driving it is truly reshaping our world, hit the subscribe button. You won't want to miss our analysis of the infrastructure defining the future. Located in southwest China, Chongqing is a geographical nightmare transformed into an urban masterpiece. It is one of the most topographically complex landscapes in Asia. The city sprawls across hundreds of vertical hills, where elevation changes are so extreme that altitude can shift by hundreds of meters within a few city blocks. It is the kind of terrain where traditional urban planning usually hits a dead end. Yet on this nearly unbuildable landscape, China has engineered a megacity home to over 30 million people, featuring an infrastructure network arguably the most sophisticated on the planet. In Chongqing, electric trains can zip through the middle of apartment buildings or lanes, while multi-layered highways stack upon one another like massive concrete ribbons suspended against the cliffs. Looking at the sheer scale of this environment, it's easy to see why so many describe it as a city that has already arrived from the future. But just a few decades ago, this was a poor, isolated mountain region in western China. The treacherous terrain, lack of connectivity, and near-zero flatland once made large-scale development here seem impossible. One of the structures that made Chongqing famous worldwide is Liziba Station, a transit station that perhaps no other city would dare to experiment with. Here, Chongqing Rail Transit Line 2 doesn't stop at a separate station as in other cities. It runs straight through an apartment building, from the 6th to the 8th floor, creating the impression of a train rushing through a crowded residential area as if it were a natural part of the building itself. For many seeing it for the first time, this scene looks like a bold architectural idea straight out of a sci-fi movie. But in reality, it is a perfectly normal part of the Chongqing metro system. Every day, tens of thousands of passengers get on and off at this station. Meanwhile, just a few meters above and below the railway, hundreds of residents still carry on with their daily lives in their apartments, barely feeling the presence of the train passing by. That is exactly what makes Liziba Station an incredible engineering achievement. Because combining a metro line with a residential building in the same space is a problem that very few cities in the world have faced. The story begins with Chongqing's unique terrain itself. When Chongqing Rail Transit Line 2 was designed in the late 1990s, engineers recognized that the railway would have to pass through a residential area on a steep mountainside. Behind the building is a vertical cliff. In front is a narrow road running along the hillside. There wasn't enough space to build a separate, standalone station. In many other cities, the simplest option would be to demolish the entire building to clear the site. But in Chongqing, that was almost impossible. Flat land in the city is extremely limited, and relocating hundreds of residents would have slowed the metro project down for years. Therefore, engineers made a much bolder decision. Instead of demolishing the building to build a station, they decided to put the station inside it. However, this idea immediately posed two major technical challenges. First is vibration. A train weighing dozens of tons passing through can cause continuous vibrations. If those vibrations are transmitted directly into the building's structure, they could compromise the building's durability over time. Second is noise. The sound from a train accelerating or braking can reach 90 decibels, equivalent to the roar of a busy highway. To address the vibration issue, engineers implemented a structural engineering solution, fully separating the two load-bearing systems, one for the metro line tracks, one for the apartment building itself. The concrete pillars for the train line were built independently and bored deep into the mountain's bedrock, allowing most of the train's vibrations to be absorbed directly into the ground rather than transmitted into the building. Between these two structural systems exists a gap of only about 20 centimeters, but that small distance acts as a mechanical buffer that helps completely isolate vibrations between the two structures. Additionally, the track system uses elastic rail technology mounted on rubber pads and special polymer materials that absorb shock. These layers of material act like giant shock absorbers, helping to neutralize most of the vibration force as the train moves through the station area. Thanks to these solutions, the noise from trains passing through the station is reduced to about 60 decibels, equivalent to a dishwasher in a family kitchen. The result is a structure that, for many people, appears to be just a unique architectural gimmick, but in fact it is an extremely carefully calculated engineering system. Liziba Station doesn't just solve a specific traffic problem for Chongqing, it has become a symbol of how this city confronts its harsh terrain. But Liziba Station still isn't the most unique thing about Chongqing. To truly understand this city, you don't need to dive deep into residential areas or search through complex underground tunnel systems. Just look up at the city's skyline. Bridges. A lot of bridges. Today, Chongqing possesses more than 15,000 bridges, a figure almost unheard of in any other metropolis in the world. But what is remarkable isn't just the quantity, it is the technical role these bridges must fulfill. Because Chongqing is not a city built on a flat plain. It is built on a complex terrain of high mountains, deep valleys, and two major rivers, the Yangtze and the Jialing. This means almost every new transportation route must overcome a natural obstacle, a river, a cliff, or a steep mountainside. In these conditions, a bridge is no longer just an auxiliary structure. It becomes the backbone of the entire infrastructure system. To build thousands of bridges in such a complex topographical environment, engineers must utilize advanced structural technologies. Large bridges in Chongqing often use steel arches or massive box girder structures combined with pre-stressed concrete to create spans hundreds of meters long without requiring numerous mid-river support pillars. These structures are analyzed using computer simulation systems, enabling engineers to accurately predict how the bridge will respond to traffic loads, high winds, or vibrations from passing trains. A prime example is the Chongqing Bridge. This bridge hangs suspended about 150 meters above the Jialing River and is designed as a two-tier transportation structure. The upper deck carries the urban rail line, while the lower deck serves a massive daily volume of car traffic. To withstand the combined load of both systems, the bridge uses large steel girders assembled in segments and fixed by a load-bearing cable system. This construction method enables bridge erection even in complex terrain and challenging current conditions. Another symbol of the city is the Huangjuewan Bridge, a steel arch bridge over 1.7 kilometers long spanning the Yangtze River. But what makes it special isn't just its size. It is its layered transportation structure. The upper deck is dedicated to cars, while the lower deck carries the urban rail line. To achieve this, engineers used a massive steel arch system that distributes loads across the entire structure, combined with high-strength steel joints that help the bridge maintain stability even under continuous heavy traffic. But if you think Chongqing's infrastructure stops at building bridges over rivers and valleys, then you have only seen half the story. Because in this city, engineers don't just build on mountains, they also build through the mountains. The steep terrain makes many areas of Chongqing nearly impossible to connect via traditional roads. In many cases, building a road around a mountain would stretch for dozens of kilometers. Therefore, the more efficient solution is to run the transportation system straight through the heart of the mountain. Today, many of Chongqing's metro lines are built using TBMs, tunnel boring machines. Massive machines, tens of meters in diameter, weighing thousands of tons. These borers can crush rock and excavate tunnels kilometers long, while simultaneously installing precast concrete slabs behind them to form a load-bearing tunnel shell. This technology allows the metro system to pass through mountain rock masses without disrupting the urban surface above. As a result, mountains that were once geographic barriers have now become integral parts of the transportation infrastructure network. However, the Huangjuewan area best demonstrates how Chongqing integrates architecture with terrain. From a distance, the complex appears as a cluster of ancient architecture suspended on a cliffside, with dozens of floors stacked vertically along the mountainside. Instead of leveling the terrain for construction, engineers used a foundation system bored deep into the rock and lightweight steel structures. allowing the entire project to cling directly to the cliff while maintaining stability. The Daojiaolu, the traditional stilt house style of the southwestern Chinese mountains, inspires the Huangjuewan design. Long pillars support the entire structure, distributing the load to anchor points deep within the bedrock. This method significantly reduces pressure on the mountainside, enabling the project to develop vertically rather than horizontally. But what makes Huangjuewan special isn't just the construction technique, it is how it organizes space. When you enter the complex from the top of the mountain, you are standing on the top floor of the building. But when you go down to the lower floors and step out toward the riverbank, you emerge on the ground floor. It is a building whose roof and ground floor are on two different streets. It is an architectural structure shaped by the city's terrain. And it is also a clear example of how Chongqing builds its metropolis, not by fighting the terrain, but by merging with it. Contrary to the Oriental romance of Huangjuewan, just look across to the other side of the river and you will see a completely different scene. No more rows of stilt houses clinging to the cliffs. Instead, there is a cluster of massive skyscrapers called Raffles City Chongqing, standing tall right where the two great rivers meet. Speaking of cyberpunk, the Raffles City complex looks like something an alien civilization would build. It consists of 8 skyscrapers, and stretching across the tops of 4 of them is a massive horizontal structure called the Crystal. This structure is 300 meters long and suspended nearly 250 meters above the ground. It features swimming pools, gardens, and observation decks floating in the sky. From certain angles, it looks like a giant spaceship that has landed atop the towers and decided to stay there. Inside the structure is a complete space with swimming pools, hanging gardens, restaurants, shopping areas, and glass observation decks. Visitors can walk on a transparent glass corridor and look straight down hundreds of meters to where the river and the city intersect. To keep such a structure stable at an altitude of 250 meters, engineers must use ultra-high-strength steel frames and thousands of load-bearing connections. Computer-aided structural simulation models are used to accurately assess the project's response to high-altitude wind loads, vibrations, and thermal expansion. The segments of the crystal were also not built directly in the air. They were assembled on the ground, then lifted by giant cranes and joined on top of the towers. A construction process requiring almost absolute precision. The result is a structure that many previously thought could only exist in science fiction movies. But in Chongqing, it has become a very real part of the city skyline. Finally, we come to what engineers worldwide are in absolute awe of: the Huangjuewan overpass, a place definitely not meant for first-timers. Because with just one wrong turn, you could end up spending an extra 20 minutes driving just to get back to your original route. Yet for infrastructure engineers, that very complexity is what makes this city an enchanting playground. Its structure consists of 5 levels of spiraling roads, connecting 20 ramps to 8 highways across the city. From ground level, it is nearly impossible to grasp its structure. Roads climb up, drop down, cross each other, and then vanish beneath other layers of concrete. Only when viewed from above does the entire system truly reveal itself. A massive network of spirals sprawling across the mountainside. But what makes this project special isn't just the complexity, it's how it solves 2 problems at once. First is the massive traffic volume of a metropolis with over 30 million people. Second, the extreme elevation difference between areas on different hills. Instead of leveling the terrain as many other cities do, engineers here chose to let the roads climb, drop, and twist around one another across multiple levels. The result is that hundreds of thousands of vehicles can pass through this interchange every day without almost ever having to stop at a red light. For people in Chongqing, Huangjuewan is simply part of their morning commute. But for global traffic engineers, it is a clear example that when infrastructure is designed correctly, even complex mountainous terrain can be an advantage. Looking at how Chongqing was built, many urban engineers believe that this city is not just a geographic outlier, but a real-world proof of concept for the urban model of the future. While most cities worldwide still expand on a flat plane, Chongqing has been forced to leverage the z-axis, the vertical dimension of space, as a core component of its infrastructure system. Here, movement doesn't just happen in east-west or north-south directions. Residents can cut through mountains via metro lines bored deep into the rock, ascend steep slopes using massive public escalator systems like the Crown Escalator, over 100 meters long, or utilize urban elevators that connect roads located at vastly different elevations. Instead of detouring for kilometers on flat surfaces, as in many other cities, many journeys in Chongqing are shortened by traveling directly through the terrain or moving vertically between the city's layers. This spatial organization becomes particularly noteworthy when placed in a global context. The world's population is projected to reach 10 billion by the end of this century, and many current megacities are approaching the limits of traditional development models. Horizontally sprawling cities like Los Angeles and many North American suburban areas have expanded to the point that daily commute distances have become a significant burden, with millions spending hours traveling from home to work. For this reason, many major cities worldwide are starting to experiment with similar three-dimensional urban models. Singapore is developing underground transport and commercial hubs integrated with rooftop gardens and multi-story structures. Hong Kong has built elevated walkway networks and public escalator systems to connect steep terrain. In Tokyo, many large commercial districts are designed as vertical miniature cities where train stations, shopping malls, and offices are stacked within a single structure. However, Chongqing is perhaps where this model is demonstrated on the most distinct scale. Rather than isolated complexes, the entire city has evolved into a massive three-dimensional urban structure, with bridges, metros, highways, and residential areas organized across multiple spatial layers. And if this trend continues, Chongqing may be showing the world something quite clear. As land becomes increasingly scarce and megacities continue to swell, the future of the city may no longer lie in endless horizontal expansion. Chongqing is a clear testament that when engineering and urban planning are bold enough, even seemingly impossible terrain can become the foundation for a modern megacity. Instead of leveling nature to make room for construction, Chongqing has done the opposite, turning its complex topography into a distinct development advantage. What are your thoughts on a city model like this? Is Chongqing the blueprint for future metropolises? Or is it just a unique case that simply cannot be replicated? Share your perspective in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue exploring the new technologies and daring projects that are changing our world.